Alright guys, this is video number 1. I'm going to be doing in series here in this particular video about how I'm going to repair the hood. The first step I'm going to do is cut whatever is left of this inner foul bracing. It doesn't really do anything. The most important part of this structure is this, which gives it the rigidity front to back. The cross torsional bracing really I think is here more for looks, because the pin-on ones, they flex a lot if they don't have this. But with this out, this isn't going to matter. The main point is here, here. And I did do some looking up, and it appears that there isn't much at the back. There is just a thin strip at the back, so I'm not going to do anything with the back. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. I'm going to notch this, and I'm going to cut my piece. I'll show you guys what I got going on and how I'm going to do it, and then my wife is probably going to help me fit it up there. And then once it's fitted, we're going to go ahead and urethane the pieces in, but I'm not going to get ahead of myself too much. For now, I'll explain to you what I'm going to do right now in this process, and then I'll take off at the next one. So keep watching. Alright guys, so I'm kind of firming things up here. As you can see, I cut out that inner bracing, which you can tell it's open, but really not. It's super flimsy in the middle anyway. So you see I got this stamped steel tube, usually for fence posts, but it's pretty lightweight. Now I don't feel so bad about this because this hood, what I found out is, check this out. There's conduit in there, which they use to reinforce this, this rib here on the hood. And then, I don't know what they put in there, but it is a super hard, almost I don't know what the hell it is, but it hardened up real nice in there, and that's how they reinforce these. So I'm guessing that they make these inner structures, and then once they're done, they flip them over. They put a piece of conduit in the middle, and then they pour in this concrete type light material. It's almost like mud that you use for your drywall, but it's not as you can't scrape it and powder it off. If anybody out there knows what the hell it is, let me know. That's really interesting. But either way, I got this to back here right before the bend. You can follow the halo here actually. So I cut it just a little short. There is a hole down there for a centering reference. Now I know I'm not going to get it dead nuts, but close. I can ream out the hinges if need be for extra adjustment. I'm trying to get it as close as possible. Now you can see I'm following the old shadow of where it was. You know, it's not you could see the shadow where it went. And obviously, I have to straighten this out and make it straight. So I have to measure front to back, center to center on the hinges, and then across to keep the distances between the holes square, so that this whole opening will be square. So I got the first one on. I'm going to do the second one. I'm going to put the screws on it, and then I'll show you guys what I'm going to do for fasteners after it's screwed in. And then I think if my wife is up for it, we're going to fit this thing tonight. And from there, I can move on to urethaning this. Probably put urethane on it tonight. And then I plan on fiberglassing it this weekend, so I can kind of get the underside done and then focus on the top side of the hood. So we'll follow this up short. So here's what we got going on. I'm going to use what we call nutserts. They look like this. They drop in, and then you tighten it's like a rivet gun. You tighten it in there, and then you squeeze. And it mushrooms the bottom around the base metal, and it keeps it in place. Really common in the auto body industry. We use them a lot, and that's what I'm going to use here. Now I got these spaced out 15.5 inches because that was my center on the hinges. And so far, everything actually looks pretty good. I've stiffened up the hood considerably, and all I have underneath, and this is what I did to locate this bar. You see those two screws there? Well, once I located where I wanted this bar, you can see I drilled these holes all the way through on a solid piece of the bar. Well, I went all the way through, and then I put my screw in from underneath up to hold this bar in place. And I'm also going to be using that when I go to urethane it to hold it in place. And then I am going to use some countersink rivets or maybe some countersink screws that I may have to grind the top off just to better secure this, just for peace of mind. I may have a little bump in the hood there, 2 tiny little bumps, but you know what? Negligible at this point. And I am going to fiberglass over all of this once it's all set, you know, and luckily, you know, this is where we repurpose things, and this is what I love about the way that I do things, and, you know, some of my friends do things. We repurpose stuff a lot. These are the bolts that came out of the bumper of the Pontiac. Now, as you guys have heard me bitch and complain about how these mid-70s cars have metric bolts, these are the perfect bolts to use for the hood. They got a nice washer that's big. The thread isn't too big. It's going to allow some more mobility there. And it's got plenty of clamping force. Now keep this in mind. You guys think that going from a 3/8 16th bolt to this is going to affect it. This is a lot lighter of a hood. You should see some of the Honda Civics and modern Hondas. They use a 10 millimeter head bolt with a 5.5 millimeter thread that holds their hoods down, but they're pretty light, heavier than this for sure. So we're going to be good with this. I could have done those bolts, but I didn't have anything here that was that big, and I know we got them at work, but I'm working with what I got here. Now the nutserts did come from work. We have those, and I have the gun here. I have one. I didn't have any of them, so I grabbed 4. So I'm going to go ahead and from here crimp these in. And I mean, I'll show you the tool. It's also from work. I borrowed it. This is what it looks like. It's like a big rivet gun. They're pretty cheap. I have one here as well, but my metric attachments didn't show up on time, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this because I have one from Pop Brand Rivets, and I bought a standard kit, not realizing that it was standard, and there is a metric attachment kit for it that it just didn't come in on time because of this whole COVID thing. So at this point, I got this set up really happy with it. So, you know, we're going to go ahead and move on here. The next step is for me to actually go get dinner. My wife's cooking dinner right now, and then when we're done with that, I think I'm ready to nose the car in and have her help me try to put it on. I may have to run back to work to grab, I forgot to grab vice grips because my hinges don't have springs, so I have to hold them up in position so that we can do this. So I'm probably going to have to run out and do that, but there you go, guys. We're moving along here, and then once this is done, it's all about just fiberglassing and fix the outside, and of course I'll do stuff as I go here, so we'll add to this. So this is where we are at. I got the hood on. It works. Clearly right now, all that is literally holding that bar is these 2 sheet metal screws, and it's pretty sturdy. But it needs what I'm going to use is window urethane, fiberglass, and I'm going to end up reinforcing like in the middle right here. I got ideas as I'm opening and closing the hood. I can see where it kind of wants to flex, where the weak spots are. But our hood's off a little bit, and it's nothing major. I know exactly where everything's off, and I'll explain. So the bar, if you can imagine this bar, apparently this cowl isn't exactly the same on each side. On that side, it sits pretty flush. On this side, I need to trim part of that bar, but we're well out of the area of the hinges. So when I go to glue it, I'm just going to cut this thing back all the way to where, like maybe within an inch of where the bolt goes for the hinges. And as you can see, we got a crack here. We got cracks here. We got cracks here, crack here, spider cracks there. Passenger side's pretty good. Mainly the driver's side needs the attention. So before I get too far ahead of myself, I'll tell you guys, if you guys can see, we're almost touching the nose of the fender, and we're big in the back. And on this side, we're big in the nose, tight in the back. So if you guys can imagine what would happen if you twist the hood, it would close up the front, open up the back, close up that back, and open up the front. But that's not what we need. This hood is too far back on this side. I need to ream out those hinges. I mentioned that. So I need to ream them out because at this point, my hinges are where they need to be for a stock hood to fit. I had a stock hood between these fenders, and then I had that Glasstek hood. So I know my hinges are where they need to be. I have to modify the hinges at this point for the hood. I don't want to move them from the inside of the fender, I should say. So the dead giveaway here is, you see on the nose here, we're tight over here, big over here. If we bring this forward, it's going to even it up, tighten this up. And obviously, I've never had trim on the eyebrows of the hood, and I do have the eyebrow moldings for the fenders, so that's why there is this huge discrepancy here on both sides, which I'm going to take care of that now. I've had them in primer ready to go. I just procrastinated, and the car looks good enough to where it's got the wow factor where people can overlook all the minor bullshit, like, you know, there's missing trim at the back here, but little things like that, they really don't bug me. But so yeah, I got this area I'm going to fix, and on both sides I'm going to reinforce this with some flat stock on both sides, and just this main area here where it ripped off because this area has been compromised. And then along the inside, if you guys watched in the earlier video, they reinforced the inside with conduit. Well, since I put my bar butting up to that, I'm actually going to run some square stock inside along that edge. Let me open up this hood for you. Let me see if I can put my camera in a good spot where I can open this and better explain to you guys. There we go. Okay, so we got the hood open, and as you can see, you kind of heard a little crackling. I didn't lift the hood up evenly. The hinges aren't exactly like the best hinges, so I have to lift it up right, just correctly to open up the hood. It's not a major deal. Once I put fiberglass and reinforce everything, it'll be a lot better. These hinges are pretty damn beat. So, all right. So you see where I got this bar? I still got room in here. So I'm not going to really worry about the aesthetics on the inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to urethane a piece of round stock in here, or maybe even do what they did, use conduit. And I'm probably going to end up having to trim some of this back, but I'm going to go ahead and urethane a piece of conduit from that back all the way to somewhere in the middle. Same on that side. And then I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this inner edge with either more fiberglass, but I definitely have to do something in the back. Looking at it now, both sides are cracked in the same spot where the hood flipped open. So I'm happy that my pinholes, now I'm talking body filler here, for the hood pins lined up with what I had prior. So that's good. And so from here, I wanted to urethane it tonight, but my wife wasn't up for round 2 of helping me with this. She had a long day. We're both still working, obviously, and she just wasn't having any of it. And I'm like, cool, well, I got to this point, and this is actually a really good point. I know that I'm good where I chose to put my my hinges. Now, I am going to end up opening up not only the front of it, but the back of it, because as you can see, my hinges are kind of tilted. Well, inherently in the process, when I measured everything, it kind of shrunk a little bit, so I did have to pull the hinges in. So that's why this hood is a little hard to open as well. I'm kind of, now these hinges are worn out, and you can see these pins are pretty worn out, but I'm not worried about that. And I think that's pretty much like it, man. Like, I just have some more. I think my goals were a bit ambitious to have this thing ready for primer this weekend. At this point, we're literally about to get fucking snow tonight. It's ridiculous. So at this point, I'm going to be really happy. And also, it's my our wedding anniversary this weekend. So I'm only going to have some limited time out here. Even though we can't go anywhere, You know, we're going to try to do something nice here at home. Maybe order some food, watch some TV, rent some movies, whatever you guys would do if you were hunkered down and can't go anywhere for your anniversary, first anniversary nonetheless. So everything's pretty good. I have to make some alterations here, but again, due to the repair and its uniqueness, it is warranted and is totally fine. My hinges aren't the best, but they work, so I'm just going to live with it. I do have to do some outside of the box thinking for that, because you can see the hinges tilted in, and that is to make up for the width difference. So I'm going to end up lengthening this slot and then widening the slots on side to side so that this can go out, and then widening those slots so that can go out, and so the hinges can even up a little bit more, not fight themselves. Because right now, when I drop the hood, the hinges are going in, and when I go to up, they got to kind of come up, stretch out, and then go up. So that's why you guys saw me struggle a little bit opening that hood. And but overall, I'm really happy. This took me maybe a half hour to get this set up to this point. And from here, literally, it's going to suck because I'm going to take this apart, urethane it. I have to let my urethane at least set for a little bit so it can breathe. Usually, I think about an hour, 2 hours, and then I can start fiberglassing it. So I may actually get this thing ready to the point where I can start fixing some of the cracks maybe on Sunday if Saturday goes well. Saturday morning, I do have to go into the shop and work on one of our shop projects, as I've committed to that pretty good. So from here, I'll follow it up this weekend and see what we get. But for now, I'm pretty happy it fits and it's on there. It doesn't fit the greatest, but we're going to make it work, and it's not even an issue at this point. So hope you guys are staying safe out there. I know I got a lot of new subscribers. Thank you guys for your support, for liking, share, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll keep pumping out videos on whatever I got going on in here, whether it be this or this. And, we always got something going on. So I'll let you guys go.